because you're changing billions of times a second right now, even to create the side effect you call time and space. So you're navigating through a series of versions of Earth, like frames on a film strip, navigating through that timeline, but you're always moving through a different version, a different parallel version of Earth. And you navigate more and more in the direction of whatever your strongest state of being vibration is. That's what guides you. That's your rudder.
Okay.
And it is the wind in your sail.
So if I am already following my excitement to the best of my ability without expected outcomes,
Then
et
you
cetera,
are
et cetera.
navigating along a series of timelines that will ultimately allow you to experience only those versions of Earth that are more and more and more reflective of the reality you prefer based on the state of being you prefer.
So that I will eventually get into these other realities in which there is contact and life has progressed from there with the ETs.
Yes, if you allow yourself to continue in each moment to recreate the vibration of your preference. That will be one of the things contained within it, because that's one of the things that is contained within the definition of your excitement, as it is with ours.
I see.
That's how it works.
So you are helping us get there.
By giving you this information and seeing what you do with it and how much of it you absorb, you then make the change in your own frequency that brings you closer and closer and closer to the vibration of contact. Yes.
Okay.
Not that you have to.
Right, right. Well,
but if you do, then you are accepting the vibration of contact more and more into your being. Yes, that's what this exchange is all about. This is one of the protocols of how we do first contact. We give you the option to choose based on the information we share as to whether you actually want to adopt that information or not and have contact or not. It's always left up to you.
mm-hmm. So that those of us who are proceeding along with that 90-day experiment are expressing the fact we want to get into this other reality.
That it is a reflection of your passion, yes.
Yeah, okay.
That it is part of the definition of the reality that you prefer, yes.
Okay. These next two are probably not relative to, but I'll ask them anyway.
Oh, all
so
right.
Ronald Reagan, who had experienced ET, he had seen him. Is it true that he took Jackie Gleason, his friend, and they observed some things?
Yes.
Okay. And also, what happened when Admiral Byrd went to the Antarctic to explore some activity that was reported there? What happened?
Some members encountered a certain kind of energy portal or vortex that allowed them to experience a shift to another dimension of reality temporarily.
Okay, so Byrd was in another reality, but he came back to ours.
Yes.
I see.
So to speak.
So, okay.
Because again, everything is actually new, but in the way that you mean it linearly, that was the effect, yes, that you perceived.
Okay.
But again, remember, it wasn't the same person.
Oh, it wasn't the same Admiral Byrd, you're saying?
Because every second is a new Admiral Byrd, just like every second is a new you.
Exactly.
We mean this quite literally.
Yes, I know that.
All right.
Okay. Now, when President Carter was given the information, he was given a briefing about the ET situation.
Yes.
Why did he become so emotional and actually even put his head on his desk and cried? What was so critical about the information that he was given that caused him to react like that?
We have given you the story of the Greys. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah. No, wait a minute. Wait. I'm not sure. Please give me a synopsis.
Do you understand that the Grey civilization, those beings that you consider to be those diminutive gray aliens, are actually mutated humans from a parallel version of Earth, who destroyed their version of Earth and mutated themselves in that way in order to survive, thus tunneling into other parallel realities to use viable human DNA, since they could no longer reproduce, to create our hybrid societies, which then allowed them to perpetuate their culture. You got that much?
Yes.
All right. The information is that you were heading down the same path. Do you understand?
Destroying ourselves again?
Yes, and actually going to replicate that history in your own reality and eventually become Greys yourselves if you continued down that destructive path.
So, have we changed our path?
Some of you have. Some of you haven't.
Okay. Why is it that the CIA is controlling and holding back all of the information?
The CIA isn't.
It isn't?
No, it's a different organization altogether that most of you have no awareness of.
Can you say?
It has gone by various names, but still most of you are really not aware of it.
Oh, what do you call it?
We don't call it anything.
What do you
Because
think
we
we
don't
call it?
focus on it.
Oh, okay. So you don't want to tell me what it is, so I won't focus on it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Why has why have we gone back to the atomic bomb to then start our transitioning in this reality?
What are you talking about?
Well, isn't it true that the transition began basically when the atomic bomb was dropped?
But what do you mean by going back to it?
That we are changing, that we are, our technologies are changing, we're growing, we're realizing different things.
Yes, but what are you asking?
Why did the timeline start? What was so important about the dropping of the atomic bomb that
Well, it
started
showed
the
you
transition?
what the effects would be and allowed you to understand whether or not you really wanted to continue down that path.
I see. Okay, so that was to give us a picture of what could happen if we keep going where we're going.
Yes.
Therefore, all of if the world tries not
Yes.
to drop
However,
another one.
However, it's been many, many years since that idea of global thermonuclear war would actually be possible. Because it has also been demonstrated by many beings from other civilizations that you would not be allowed to launch such a war. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have isolated nuclear strike here and there, terrorist acts and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But global nuclear war, no, because it will not be allowed. Because a global thermonuclear war would rip through the fabric of different space-time dimensions and affect more than just you.
Right.
So your military has been shown many, many times by different space vehicles of extraterrestrial origin hovering over your missile silos that we have the ability to completely scramble and erase your launch codes.
Yes.
This has
We are
been
aware.
shown many times.
Yes.
So global nuclear war is not in the cards for you.
Okay. The
anymore.
machines just don't work. The buttons don't work when you're
The missiles won't
won't
launch.
go. Yes. Another concern is that the media, the motion picture industry right now, when we're talking about, open contact and stuff like that, the movies that are coming out, they're like Colony or whatever, they're showing the fact that there is contact, but they're fear-based, and that concerns me because we don't want to have a fear-based society.
It's interesting though, isn't it, that those are the ones you gravitate to instead of the ones that give you a positive message?
Right. And they're so fear-based.
No, do you understand what I'm telling you?
No. I don't actually, to tell you the truth. I only saw a commercial of the Colony, but I haven't.
But you're focused on it.
I'm asking the question about it, yeah, because I want to understand. Is there a force working against?
Those that will gravitate to that will gravitate to that. Those that won't.
I see.
Choose what you prefer,
Thank you.
vibrationally speaking.
And that's exactly what I wanted to
There
hear.
is a contact film that exists right now in your society that actually will give you a much better idea of the depth of what a real interaction with an extraterrestrial civilization would be like. It's called Arrival.
Arrival. Okay. It's in the theaters? Thank you.
Right now.
Right now, great. I will look at that. When
Allow your energy and your vibration to align with ideas and stories like that instead.
Okay.
And that will make all the difference.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on what you typically would call conspiracies.
Okay.
Because that will take you down a path I guarantee you do not want to walk down.
Right.
And you must understand, as we have said before, the beings that you are on your planet assigning great power to don't have as much power as they would like you to believe they have. But they do control media in a way to make you think they do. So don't play the game of falling into what they want you to believe they're able to do that they're actually not able to do.
Okay. Okay,
So
thank
don't
you.
play their game.
Thank you for that advice.
You are welcome.
On the subject of the soul,
Yes.
I know the soul leaves the body
Not really.
well, at death.
I know that that's the experience in the way you have it from a linear perspective, but it's more just like your consciousness expanding beyond the physical focus because your soul is not in your body. It's actually more accurate to say that your body is in your soul because it's a
Okay.
crystallization of focus that happens within your consciousness, which includes the soul and the oversoul and many other levels of your being.
Okay, so when we are created, when the energy, the consciousness, and the physicality is created, at what point does
Consciousness has always existed.
And is
within a time frame, it appears as if your body is being created. From within a time frame, it
Okay.
appears that you have a beginning and a middle and an end.
right?
But in terms of existence, there's no such thing. It all exists at once.
In that what it appears in the physical world,
Yes.
and you're born,
Yes.
at what point does the soul enter?
49 days.
From conception?
Yes. Because that's
49
when
days.
the brain structures that are capable of processing or expressing the idea of the consciousness in the way that you would consider to be relevant actually form
49 days.
on 49 days in, yes.
Okay. Well, I thank you for all of this
And by the
background.
way,
Yes, sir.
even often up to the age of 7, there may still be what you would consider to be a very loose connection.
Right. I have heard that.
It doesn't really crystallize solidly until, for most people, about the age of 7 on your planet.
And that's why children have memories, right?
They are connecting to things more purely through the spirit realm and not forgetting as much of who they really are as a greater being.
Yes. Okay. Well, I thank you for your time. And
It
you-
has been a timeless experience.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And you, good day.
So grateful for this interaction today.
As are we, in deep appreciation of all the interactions that we have with each and every one of you.
And I'm more grateful because it was so synchronized that most of my questions were just answered.
Thank you for your synchronicity.
But I still have a few.
That's all right.
On the subject of parallel realities that you were just talking
Yes,
about.
parallel reality.
Yes. And you were talking about the ripples, I mean, the effects of the other realities ripple into the other reality.
Because of the collective consciousness creating senses of continuity that connect those things together, yes.
So let's say, for example, this is where I need clarification.
Yes.
Let's say in this reality that I'm focused in, I'm afraid of swimming.
Yes.
Does that mean that there's a possibility that in a different reality, I had an experience?
That version of you might have had an experience that you're connecting to play out and use that experience to explore whatever themes you're exploring here, because somehow you believe that making that connection to that experience will serve you. Yes.
Okay. So then, how
Yes.
do I know that? How would I know that that specific thing is going to be something that's serving me?
Well, again, it serves you because it puts you in touch with the idea that you have a belief that is generating the fear.
Oh, I see.
And you use the fear as a messenger to let you know you have a belief you're unaware of. So sometimes you will make these connections to generate fear that will then reveal to you certain beliefs you didn't know existed within the matrix of your consciousness. Therefore, it's doing you the service of pointing them out like a spotlight. And then you can ask the question, oh, what would I have to believe is true in order to experience this fear? And then you can let the fear go because it's done its job. But you will connect sometimes to other realities that might be exploring similar themes, but have had an experience that will induce fear in you to point out a similar belief system within yourself.
I see.
That's one way to use parallel reality connections to your advantage.
So the experience or the purpose of shape-shifting, does
Yes.
that also help us experience more different
Of course.
energies then?
Because
or-
once you learn the idea of shape shifting and you shift into a form that is different than what you think of your natural form, you're going to start to know what that form knows, think like that form thinks, behave like that form behaves, and you're going to learn a lot that way. You can even match a frequency. Now, we've talked about different ways of doing this because this is the basis of telepathy, that you don't read another person's mind, but you operate on a similar wavelength and have the same thoughts at the same time synchronistically. That's what telepathy actually is. So the idea of shape-shifting is a further demonstration of that by actually becoming, in a sense, a version of them that is almost identical physiologically, by taking on a parallel reality reflection that makes you look like a twin of someone, and then you can understand them completely because you are being a version of them, and you know exactly what they're thinking, and you know exactly how they feel because you are a version of them. So it's a way to learn how to empathize, connect, have compassion, and learn many things from a different point of view. It's the ultimate way to walk in someone else's shoes, by actually becoming them.
Do we actually do that unconsciously here and there, or we
Here
haven't?
and there, yes, you can, but you simply don't express it in the way that shapeshifters do, physiologically.
Oh, I see. So it's the consciousness that's basically experiencing that? It's the experience of the consciousness.
Yes. You're just
Physical.
adapting a reflection and imagining the reflection to actually be your reflection so that you see yourself as something else. And then you will think, feel, and do the things that something else does.
Okay, great.
It's a very, very strong way to learn about the world, about reality, about the universe, about the multiverse.
Very
Yes?
nice. Yes.
Very exciting. That's why it's exciting to go through the 5 levels of mastery, one of the reasons anyway. Does that help you?
Yes, it does.
Anything else?
Yes, I know in the past channelings, you have mentioned that I know everything changes, but there is a probability of 88% of a series of events happening.
At the time of the reading, that may be so.
Yes.
But as soon as the reading is done, the probabilities may change, especially because you've been given the information of what the reading was, which can change the reading. As I said, these things aren't static, they're dynamic. There's no such thing as a prediction of the future. There's only a sensing of the energy that exists at the moment the prediction is made, and being aware of what the energy is, depending upon what you want to do with the information you're given, can change the energy and change the probability right at that moment. A prediction being made can instantly render itself obsolete if you don't prefer what the prediction said.
So what changed the course of many things possibly was the knowledge of knowing the event, the probabilities, and then focusing it on a different level?
Yes, because if you hear a certain prediction about what the energy is at that moment, and it's not something you prefer, you might start changing the energy by doing different things. Or if it is what you prefer, you might reinforce it and allow it to continue to manifest. But these things happen almost instantaneously in a variety of ways, and it depends upon the individuals and the groups and the mass consensus as to exactly what part of it any one of you might experience, if it's relevant for you to continue to experience it or not.
So is it probable then that many events that were probable at that time has already changed?
Yes, in a variety of ways. Now, certainly, one that had a lot of momentum behind it and what you're now seeing the results of is that we told you that everything would change in the fall of 2016. And certainly you see a lot of evidence of that right now. That's an overall energy that was unlikely to change because the probability was so high. But there are many different ways to interpret the after effects and many different ways to experience the after effects. You can use any of those after effects to your advantage if you maintain a positive state of being.
So can we say that, let's say, in my reality, my president would be a different president than someone else's?
It most likely won't need to be that extreme. The idea that would be the path of least resistance is to not care who the president is and just use the vibrations to your advantage in whatever way you can, similar to the analogy we already shared with all of you, which we will repeat again now. You could say by definition that you felt you were traveling in a boat down a very placid stream and everything was smooth and everything was going along, and now suddenly you're in the middle of rapids. But the point is, if you maintain the positive definition and maintain your balance and learn how to ride the rapids, the advantage you can get out of the rapids is that you get downstream much faster. So you can take advantage of the disconnection and the breaking of the status quo and the disorientation by learning how to balance in that new reality of rapids so that it would actually be capable of being used to your advantage and accelerating you faster than the placid stream would ever have. That's how you respond to change. And it doesn't matter what the circumstances of the change are, you can still take advantage of it in a positive way as befits what you prefer if you understand that you have the ability to do that.
Of course, I use the president as an example, but I like your example better. Thank you.
I'm not saying that certain things like that can't suddenly appear to change, but they are usually unnecessary because you created this reality for a reason. You're sharing in it for a reason. It's that all of you have different reasons, but you can use it for your reasons. Yes?
Yes.
As we said recently, one of the most important things this did is actually break you from your complacency, break you from the status quo. Once you are broken from the status quo, almost anything is possible. To put it colloquially, in your mind you can go, well, if that can happen, anything is possible, I guess. So now it opens you up into a state of disorientation so that you can now make it easier to reorient to the reality that you prefer. And in that sense, what has happened has done you a favor. Take advantage of it. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yeah. The Nesara project, or
Define.
it's a contract. I've read about it, that after all the changes, there's going to be a contract that serves all.
Every one of you have your own relationship to the mass consensus agreement. It's up to you to decide what's true for you and act accordingly.
That was my next question, actually. How do we discern between all the information
Do you not understand what it is that excites you, what your passion is?
Yes.
That's all it takes. That's the formula. Don't get caught up in all of the different pieces of information. You get to decide what's true for you and act on your highest passion to the best you're able with no insistence on the outcome. That's all you need to do to stay on course, to have your hand firmly on the tiller of the rudder, to guide you in the direction of the reality that you prefer. That's all it takes, is just acting on that formula in the most precise ways you can. That's it.
On the same note.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Hey, okay. So, the first question I have when you were talking about how, you know how we ultimately create reality on one level?
Yes,
How-
I do know that.
Yes. So then how do you then connect like what you agree with on a collective
I just told you.
just now?
Just now, I just told you, you act on your highest passion. When we talk about the fact that that's the formula, what part of that do you not understand? That's the formula. There is no other formula that we will give you to answer a question in the manner that you've asked it.
Okay.
That's the formula that allows you to engage with the mass consensus agreement in the way that works best for you, being your part of the mass consensus agreement.
Gotcha.
Does that make more sense
Yep,
now?
that makes sense.
You're being your puzzle piece in the shape you were made to be. If you try to be a shape you weren't made to be, you won't fit in the puzzle and you won't create the big picture that supports all the pieces. So the more of you simply allow yourselves to be the puzzle piece the way you were shaped to be, then when you are all the puzzle pieces you were made to be, you will all fit perfectly. The big picture will appear and it will sustain and support all the pieces that make it up. It's only when you try to be a shape you're not that the whole picture can't come together. Does that explain it?
Yes.
Anything else?
Well, the other thing I just wanted to share with you
Yes.
is the biggest thing that I was feeling really stuck in just trusting the process of following my excitement.
Oh, all right. How
The-
exciting for you.
But what made a huge difference for me has been listening to your whole talk about how to use your higher mind.
All right. Well, thank you for making a difference for yourself.
Thank
Yes.
you. But
We are happy to share the information, but it won't really matter unless you decide to apply it. So we thank you and appreciate and congratulate you for making the difference for yourself by applying it.
Well, thank you. It really has made a difference, and
Of course.
I've seen it actually allow more things to synchronistically show up.
There will come a day, here's another prediction. There will come a day when finally you actually, all of you, won't be surprised that when you change your understanding, that things will actually change. Right now, many of you still sound surprised. Hey, I did this and it worked. What do you know? Yes, we know. That's how it works. It really is just an instruction manual we're giving you for how the machine works. That's all. So don't be so surprised that when you flip the switch, the light comes on. Ooh, how did that happen? I flipped this switch like Bashar suggested, and oh, the light came on just like he suggested. It's a miracle. No, it's just how it works.
But
It's
Bashar,
just physics.
How come it seems like sometimes you think you're trying something, but then it doesn't work?
Because you think you're trying it instead
Okay.
of actually doing it.
Okay.
There is a big difference between making it, in a sense, theoretical and really making it your truth. What you know to be true.
Yes.
Big difference.
Gotcha.
Vibrational difference that may seem very, very small can actually create a completely different reality experience.
I know.
Because the vibrations are very fine-grained and the slightest difference is an entirely different reality.
I noticed.
There you go again. See? I noticed. Yes.
Like a huge
Yes.
shift.
As we have given you the analogy, because now things have accelerated to the point where the tiniest thing that is out of alignment will freeze the entire experience until you clean out that speck of dust. And that cleaning out of that one speck of dust can make all the difference in your experience and create an entirely different experience.
Is that for everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
No, except for you.
No. I feel that way completely.
All right.
Bashar,
Yes.
can I talk to Willa about my hybrid kids?
Yes, you can talk to her about your hybrid kids, although I have to say, she may not necessarily know as much about your children as I will.
Oh, okay. Then
So would you still like to speak with her?
no. I'll talk to you. Can you just give me whatever they want to share with me that would help me connect with them or
You may use the image of the spiral seeds in the center of a sunflower and meditate upon that image, and you will find that it will put you in the vibrational state to be able to receive clearer communications in your bond with them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much.
Hello there.
And to you, good day.
Good day. So I carry a few questions.
Yes.
One for you. Could you elaborate on relevance?
Yes. Many people are looking to create certain experiences in their lives, but only certain experiences are relevant for the theme that you may have chosen to explore. Now, nothing is impossible. All things are possible. But based on the fact that you chose to explore a certain theme as the person you are, there are not many things that are necessarily relevant or probable for that theme. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because if you stepped outside of it, you wouldn't be exploring the theme anymore. So you will stay within your relevance in terms of what you manifest. Now, that can still be very broad and still be very different than what you typically experience in your reality, especially in this day and age. There are many more things that you are aware you could be doing than in the past you might have thought were even possible at all. But you will still never step beyond the level of probable relevance into what is possible if it's not relevant. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, did that answer the question sufficiently?
Yes, and I had a follow-up question to that, and
Yes.
that is, how can we discern that which is more relevant in our life, but it's the formula, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Because when you do that, you're taking advantage of the fact that there's already a complete toolkit there, one of the tools being synchronicity that brings you what you need and nothing else. And that's how you tell. What happens in your life is what you need. It doesn't give you impossible choices. It gives you relevant ones. Because what would be the point of giving you something that's not relevant? Synchronicity doesn't operate that way. If it did, it wouldn't be synchronicity. Make sense?
So the more we develop the ability to create more synchronicities, or they happen regardless, but just being
They
able
do.
to see them.
Yes. The more aware
It's-
you become of how to discern the difference, because what you're being given is what's relevant. You may have to take yourself through a process to understand exactly how it's relevant, but you know from the get-go that what comes into your life must be relevant or it wouldn't be there. It doesn't mean you have to prefer it. It doesn't even mean you have to wind up doing it, but what is there for a relevant reason. If you use it that way, you'll get the relevance out of it.
Great.
Make sense?
Yes.
All
so
right.
can I speak to Willa?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Give us a moment. All right, what's on your mind then?
Hi, good. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it is my pleasure to do so. Thank you as well. We assume it is yours.
Yes, absolutely.
All right then. What would you like to chat about?
Earlier, you were describing that the sage correlates to the fourth law. The fourth law being
Well,
that which
no, I wasn't doing that. That was the Bashar.
That was the Bashar.
But I understand what you're
Okay.
saying, and I certainly agree with it.
Okay, great. And what was said was that the sage will put out a vibe, and whatever gets created, they will project it, magnify it, and project it to others. Was that the
In
understanding?
a way that allows the others to be willing to share the experience, yes. Because they're actually projecting a vibration, not only of the parallel reality, but also of the space-time vibration that goes along with it, that will induce those that are willing to be induced to experience the different reality that the sage is manifesting for themselves. And so the others being willing to match that frequency will also have the experience that such things are manifesting in their reality as well, because they are being induced to connect to that parallel reality that the sage is presenting a vibration of to them.
So the sage projecting will never do it in a way where it takes away from the free will of the others.
Of course, if they did that, then they wouldn't be a sage.
All right, great. You were speaking about the elements earlier,
No, the elementals.
the elementals.
Elements are different, you know.
Yes.
Elementals are the beings.
Are elementals attracted to gardens, or do
Many of them
gardens-
are, yes. Remember, they are nature spirits. Therefore, they will have their own communion with the vibrational consciousness of things like plants and so forth. They can commune with them.
And does the fact that there's life in the plant life, living
There's
vibration,
life in everything.
Okay.
Even a rock is life, just not as you know it.
Okay. So do gardens themselves, the plant life, make it easier for us to perceive them?
They are giving everything they need to give. You're always being given everything that you need to be given. It's about paying attention to what you're being given more precisely. Because no more can be given to you than is being given. Nothing is held back from you. You have to open up and recognize what it is you're already being given. It's on your end.
Okay, great.
Now, that doesn't mean that you will be given things that are not appropriate for you to be given.
Appropriate being another word for relevance?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Is inherent in the name Hillicrissing, is inherent in there she who crosses hills?
It is simply from the idea of an evolvement of the willow tree and the helichrysum plant.
Helichrysum plant. Okay. Okay. Not a word.
But I have crossed many hills
All right.
in my time.
Okay. The fact that you're telling us more about the elementals, do they get excited about that? Do they
Some of them
prefer
do.
that?
Some of them don't. Some of them don't care at all.
Okay.
It just depends. Because they are their own beings and they have their own preferences as well. And they have their own understanding of what it is that they need to do and not do in life, and who they need to and not connect to in life as well.
In the stone speakers, you spoke about, Bashar spoke about the fact that we can get information from them. We can actually communicate with stones.
Absolutely. As I said, it's all alive in a different way.
So the fact that we can connect with them and get information from them, do stone elements speak to the elementals?
Elementals.
But do the stones speak to the elementals? And if they do, what kind of communication
The
do they have?
stones are always speaking. The elementals are those that have the ability to know that and hear that, yes.
And what do they
Everything
share?
is always speaking, in a sense.
So what do they share amongst each other?
The stones and the elementals?
Yes.
Well, of course, it'll depend upon the elemental, and it'll depend upon the stone. So, an example of such a communication might be that an elemental, let us say, such as a puka. You understand?
I don't know what a puka is. No.
A puka is an elemental shapeshifter that sometimes is known to be a little bit mischievous. What you might call a trickster energy.
Okay.
You follow?
Familiar with this, yes.
Then the idea is that the puka might communicate with a stone and might agree with the stone to play a certain trick on a person by placing the stone in a spot and then placing the stone in another spot without the person knowing it, so that the person wonders where the stone went. And they will play this game over and over and over, and they will know that even though they are being mischievous about it and making the person seem a little bit confused, they also know on another level that being the trickster, they are training that person's consciousness to be able to look at things in a different way and expand their ability to find the stone, not by looking from one place to another, but by looking more broadly. So the stone and the puka might play that game together.
Okay.
That's just one example.
Okay. I think that's it. That's all I have. So
All
I
right, then
appreciate it.
thank you
Thank
for
you for being here.
the chat. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello.
And good day to you, dearie.
Good day. May I speak to Bashar?
Absolutely. Give us a moment then, would you?
Sure.
All right then. Yes?
Thank you, by the way. How do you differentiate or balance following the formula and doing something because it's your highest excitement and something that's maybe not necessarily healthy for your body in the physical realm, or what's looked
Well,
at as
again,
unhealthy?
what's the definition that you're calling your excitement? Is it really a true definition of your excitement, or is it an expression of anxiety? Because if you're really honest within yourself, you can tell the difference between your true excitement and your anxiety that you might be glossing over because you don't want to face what it might be showing you.
How do you figure that out?
Can't you tell the difference between when you're anxious and when you're excited?
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. If I tell you that I'm about to give you an ice cream cone, are you excited or anxious?
Excited.
If I tell you that a great pit is about to open under your feet and you're going to fall 1,000 feet onto some spikes, are you excited or anxious?
Anxious. I think those were the answers to those questions.
But do you feel the difference?
Maybe. I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah.
So you are just as excited about falling onto spikes as you are about receiving an ice cream
It's
cone.
more of just like an acceptance of it. I don't know how to.
Acceptance is a different idea, a very different idea. You can understand how to neutralize these things, and that may be what you're doing. And that may be right now why you can't tell the difference, is because you're actually exploring the concept of neutrality.
Okay.
And that's all right.
That makes
Because that's a
sense.
limbo state. As we said, you're breaking from status quo. One of the symptoms is to go into a limbo state and explore the concept of balance and neutrality. And in that state, it may not be relevant for you to tell the difference right now. But when you emerge from that state and recrystallize yourself, you'll know the difference. When it is important for you to know, you will know. In your life, at some times, you must have been able to tell the difference between excitement and anxiety, yes? In certain circumstances in your life?
Yes.
And it was clear what the difference was then?
Yes.
It will be clear again. But you may simply be going through a neutralizing state at the moment, which is part of the process of changing and elevating your consciousness, and that's all right.
That's okay.
Of course.
And if you have compassion towards someone that, like a family member, how do
Yes.
you get them to receive something?
You
that
can't get them to receive anything. You give off the vibration and allow them to choose to match it or not.
So
Allowance is the key.
how do you deal with it if they're not accepting that and you're sensitive
Then you're
to
not
it?
being allowing, are you? Do you want people to allow you to be who you prefer to be?
Yes.
Then you have to allow others to choose to be who they prefer to be, even if it's not vibrationally compatible with what you prefer, don't you?
Yes.
Because if you don't allow them to choose, why should they allow you to choose?
Right.
Yes?
Yes.
You're only going to get a reflection of something you don't prefer, not being allowed to choose who you prefer to be. So, if you want to allow yourself to be who you prefer to be, you must be in the vibration of allowance, and that means you need to allow everyone else to choose, regardless of whether it's something that is vibrationally compatible with what you prefer or not. Because again, remember, everyone is an infinite, eternal, indestructible being. Who cares if they choose or don't choose it in this life?
Right.
Yes?
So if you are in this neutrality state and you're reaching this new sense of consciousness, how do you then reach the next, like, be in touch with that higher, that
You
next
keep
step?
acting on the formula to the best of your ability. You keep discovering what beliefs within you are no longer relevant and let them go. You keep streamlining yourself.
Okay. And what's the significance of 33?
Well, there are many significances to that particular frequency threshold. It is a time of great transformation in general, representative of a change in life, where you're going from a form of childhood into a more mature state, vibrationally. But it is a very transformational idea. But it is also a synchronous idea. Any kind of numbers or colors or anything that you use as a symbol to repeat that way will simply be road markers to let you know that when it pops up in your synchronicity, you're in the correct vibration at that time. You're in alignment with the path that you are.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Tadea.
Nania! What's going to come out of your mouth today?
Well, we're getting the microphone adjusted here. Let's see. Well, maybe today I should talk to Willa first.
All right then, give us a moment,
All right.
if you willa.
Yeah.
Good day to you, dearie.
Good day. It's wonderful to make your acquaintance in a deeper way.
And yours as well, as always. What would you like to chat about?
I think there's lots of curiosity about you, that these are questions that have come through our listeners that are
Curiosity
remotely...
about me?
Yes.
Whatever for? I'm just an ordinary hybrid who experiences some extraordinary things. What could be curious about that?
I think it's very interesting.
Oh, all right then.
So one of the questions that came through was, can you tell us a little bit about what your day is like?
Which day would that be?
Any day that you like.
All right then. There will be days when I will cross the Marrowbone Bridge outside Port Dublin and wander through the streets and allow myself to pick up on the vibrations of the different humans and hybrids and elementals and xenos that may be walking around through the Port Dublin on that day. And then I may sit myself down on the edge of the bridge and dangle my feet high above the canal that runs beneath. And I may absorb and let myself drift in those vibrations for a while. Then I may get up and cross the bridge back into the yew forest that is nearby, full of the yew trees and ash trees that I have come to know so well. And then I may allow myself to merge into the vibrations and communicate with those beings for a while. And I may pick up and absorb what they have to say and carry that with me back across the bridge in a variety of ways, and may decide to go off through one of the shaddocks to a different place, either in Ireland or somewhere else in the world. And I may then meet others as well, and I may decide to play some games with some of my friends. It can be that, and it can be very different than that. Anything else you would like to know then?
It's kind of fascinating because that's how I spend the day sometimes.
Well, many of you are beginning to take on these qualities in preparation for, again, what will be experienced in a slightly different way, but from which now you're forming the basis to have those experiences in a more magnified way. Yes.
I mean, speaking to or communicating with animals and other species
Yes.
is so amazingly fun.
I would heartily agree with that.
I mean, it's such a driving aspect of being here on Earth, because they're so fascinating. It's like every creature has its own perspective, its own personality.
That it does.
And they're in so many ways so magical because they have attributes that are so vastly different from ours.
Absolutely, and those are what we learn from about the greater being that we are, that contains it all, so that it gets reflected to us by all those other beings. It shows us more of who and what we are.
So it's really exciting for those of us that that's sort of a channel of learning or a path of excitement in a process of just becoming more and more of ourselves.
I would agree with that.
It's just so exciting that when you present this as a sort of ascension type model, I guess I'd call it, or
All right, then,
template,
yes, we
a
understand the
type of-
reference.
That's very exciting.
Yes, it is.
I think that traditionally the ideas of becoming more of yourself involves more esoteric kinds of things, like studying a certain modality or meditation, or as opposed to the fun idea of just having communication with species that are different from your own.
Well, you can do both.
Yes. Okay. Is there anything you would like to suggest as far as...
Not at the moment, dear.
Okay.
Is there anything else you would like to ask?
Okay. I think that in regards to that idea of connecting with you, people have asked questions about how to learn from you or ways to connect with you, and wanted to know, is there a phone number that you'd like to
I
describe?
don't have a telephone, dear.
Well, an image, a phone number.
They can think of a fox.
Foxes are like the best.
A red fox with a white chest and black feet, black tips on its ears, and a black tip on its tail.
I mean, just learning a little bit more about foxes, they're like the most beautiful cross between cats and dogs in a sense. And they purr. And they're amazingly generous and beautiful and smart. And so those are such lovely characteristics that perhaps haven't always been realized by our society.
All right, well then it would be about time to realize it. But you can think of that fox, and the vibration is similar enough to me
Okay.
that you can tap in to some degree. Now again, it won't be me having chats with you all the time. It'll be, in many ways, your own higher mind, but you'll take on my qualities, and you'll be able to download information that would be relevant to the kind of information I'd be likely to be sharing with you. You ken what I'm saying?
Yes. Can you tell us a little more about what function cryptics perform in your society?
Well, it can be many. But again, the primary idea is to ground the energies of higher planes into the earth in such a way that you can experience those energies. And the vibration of the cryptics can allow for others to experience those energies in a way that will allow their roots to be deep and not get uprooted by the forces of those energies that you may not be as familiar with when you first enter those realms. So they act as a very anchoring and grounding influence for us all. Does that help?
Yes, it just sort of opens the door to the idea that as you go deeper and deeper into these communications with other perspectives that are non-human.
Well, as well, then they bring the information of the natural world and are, as you would say, very practiced at communicating with elementals and trees and flowers and rocks and bees and all sorts of things, so they can bring the richness of the intelligence and the richness of the information that exists in the world to a much sharper focus for all.
Yeah, because really what you're saying is that by choosing to be on this planet, the greatest primer of all is the one that comes from the earth itself and the creatures on it and the systems that are on it.
And everything is a natural extension of that collective consciousness. And so in that way, sometimes what you'd call a nickname for a cryptic would be a tapestry.
Do you want to share more about like how the nocturnals also perform a service in your society?
Well, again, they bring the knowledge of the parallel realities very sharply to bear, and they also allow one to get in touch with the deeper emotional realms in a variety of ways, which can be a very heady process for many. And therefore, they can act as guidance in that way. But also, they themselves, in going through that process, can be very mercurial, because they're exploring the whole idea of the depth of the emotional connections that they may have to other versions of themselves and other realities. It is suddenly like being able to really sit down and have a gathering with all of the different multiple personalities of your being, and attempting to sort them all out can be a little bit confusing at times. So nocturnals sometimes are a little bit mercurial with that, because they don't always necessarily know whether they are talking to you or talking to another version of themselves until they sort it out as they approach the shapeshifter stage.
It's so interesting how it's like learning how to navigate the dream world in
some
many
senses,
ways.
yes, which is why they are called nocturnal, for they are looking into the secrets of the night and the secrets of the dreams that lead to other dimensions.
And the sage?
Well, you're skipping the shapeshifter.
Oh, sorry, the shapeshifter.
They don't want to be left out.
No, yeah, okay.
But again, they bring the manifestation of the blending of those other aspects of their being into physical reality, so that you can understand that it is more and more that the one is all and the all are one. They are an exemplification of that law in a very physical way. And again, allow the vibration to connect us to all that is in a much stronger way. You have heard the Bashar talk about the idea of the epsilon spheres around his world, yes?
Yes.
That put out a certain vibration that keep them stabilized into synchronism. Well, the shapeshifters, by pulling in the actual manifestations of other parallel realities, will imbue the earth with the idea of more ability to connect to much more of ourselves from the oversoul level. So it enriches us greatly, and all those who choose to partake of that vibration, to tap into the oversoul consciousness in a much, much more crystallized way. Then moving into the sages, as you were wont to ask, will expand that in a very, very full way. You might even equate it to the idea of merging into the vibration of the oversoul of oversouls. And so you're seeing from a much higher perspective, the vibration is there for you to really understand that you are all these things, and that everything is a reflection. What you put out is what you get back. That everything is truly a reflection. Everything is truly a shard of the shattered mirror. That you become that shard in your mind. That you understand that you are standing in the middle of all other shards that are reflecting to you other versions of yourselves, and you can experience this in a very physical and visceral way, especially through the use of the Divinorum, if you know how to handle it properly. Then the Wraith is something else again. We won't go there for now.
It seemed to be coincident with change is the only constant.
Yes. And in a way that you have to be very, very prepared for. In a way that is very rare. Many sages do not go there, and some that have will never go there again. You have to be in a very specific state to bridge those realities in the way that a sage and a wraith exist side by side as a double person, both matter and spirit. It is similar to the idea that the Bashar has talked about being quasi-physical, but it is also a very different experience because it's happening in a different world, in a different way that has a different path and experiences things in the symbols that they need to understand. And so it is something quite different than the way that the Bashar's world experiences quasi-physical reality. It is a very, very, very powerful balancing act, and very few are that balanced. But once you are, it can be extremely rewarding. But you have to also have the absolute flow and balance of communion with the elementals, because they are the ones that actually bridge the physical and the spirit in a very different way. And for a person that is alive to be able to do so is quite an art.
I'm really starting to see how being centered and balanced is such a important requirement of reaching different levels. And even on our level, the idea of great change all at once creates disorientation, like the way everything just changed in the last few weeks.
And if you think that you're disoriented through the changes you're going through, just imagine what the disorientation is like going from a sage to a wraith. Many beings have attempted this, and some have succeeded and some have not, and some have turned into what we call the banshee, the wailing spirit that moans for itself, trapped between the living and the dead.
Yikes.
Now, this again is just another way to experience the self within the all that is, of course, for all are eternal in that way. And there will, in some way, shape, or form, be a transformation that will take place eventually, even for the banshee. But while the banshee is the banshee, there can be many different kinds of experiences that the sage would not necessarily have preferred to experience. And therefore it is a lesson for them in a variety of ways for those that choose to walk that path.
Would it not be just like when a human dies and they believe they're going to go to hell, and then they find themselves trapped in some way, and all they have to eventually realize is that when they change their beliefs, they will emerge from that state?
It has a similar aspect, but it is not the same.
It's very intriguing.
They actually, in some senses, in the transition from the sage to the banshee, are actually opening up what you might call portals to other dimensions and allowing there to actually be overlaps that can be experienced by others around the banshee in a way to disorient others into realities they are not prepared to enter. They carry with them those rents in the fabric of space and time, as if it is a cloak that they wear. And contact with a banshee can throw you, as you would say, willy-nilly into another dimensional understanding that you may not be prepared or balanced to receive or process properly.
And how does that align with what Bashar has shared about you have to be the vibration of something? Like, obviously, these are individuals that are at a very accelerated frequency state.
In some senses, yes, and in some senses not.
Really?
Because then they become crystallized and frozen in that state. And it is, in some senses, like what you would consider to be a repeating loop for them.
That's pretty stunning.
Yes, it can
And
be.
is that part
Nevertheless, you can communicate if you know how with the banshee, and you can learn much from them. And at this point, we have also learned that there are ways that can help them, but it requires those that have the same kind of marker that I myself possess of the Anu gene. There is something within the Anu gene that can help transform the banshee back into a mortal sage, or allow them to process themselves and go on into spirit. But it again is something that requires a great art, and it is a rare thing. Even in our day. Eventually you will find that it will be something more common, but it is still a rare art in my day.
It certainly shows that having humility with regards to different levels of consciousness is a good idea.
That would be one of the fundamental keys then, to stay in your humility. Yes,
Yes.
we would agree with that. And now we also sense that it might be approaching time for you to have your break and your holotup meditation, which will be given to you by the Bashar.
Okay.
So please enjoy your break. And it has been the greatest pleasure for us to engage with all of you. And in the spirit of winter, we wish you good relations with the winter spirit, and the happiest of your holy days. We thank you and our unconditional love to you all, and allow yourselves to please continue to bake my cookies, for when you come out of your oven, you will be sweet and delicious. So we thank you, and please now enjoy your break. How's it